So let's start the session. So I am Damodara Kannan, A from second year BE CSE. So I am a web development lead at GDSC. So for a glance, first of all, sorry guys, good evening to one and all. I hope you had a good day. I think whether my voice is clear. Can you please anyone put it in my chat box? So my voice is clear. So let's not. So good evening to you all, guys. I hope you had a good day. I'm currently pursuing a BE second year. So I'm also a web development lead of GDSC. For a glance, GDSC is a Google Developers, which was a worldwide team, and you can explore a lot and lot. On representing that, I'm going to do the web development campaign. In this campaign, we're going to see about what are all the things means. We are going to see how the browser works and what are all the basics of the web development in this session. And in the next section, we are code the live basic website using HTML. And in the last session, we are going to see about the Firebase and applications. So in this session, we are going to the how browser works and what are all the basics of the web development. So by the end of this section, you will clear about the browser working and also the how what are all the basics of the web development. So let's start the session without any further delay. So these are the agenda of the program. So let me start with the introduction. So in introduction, we will see about what is web development. Next, we are going to see browser works and what are all the happening behind the browsers and behind the scenario. And second, we are going to see about the what is the web development basics of the web development and what are all the important topics inside that. And also we are going to see about what is HTML, and I am also going to do it with the live example. And next we are going to see CSS, which means cascade style sheeting, which gives styles to the HTML. And also we are going to see a basics of the JavaScript. On the end of this section, we are going to do the sample program which contains all HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So by the end of this section, you will get to know clear about how the HTML and CSS and JavaScript integrated and how they are working. So let's start with the introduction. Uh, so we are all want to know about first what is the web development. So web is a thing. It refers to the websites or web pages, that anything that works over the internet. So what are all the see on the web? We can say it as a web. So what are all the things that over the internet, that like websites, web pages? Can say it as anything. What are all the see on the internet? We can say it as web. Developing is means something that building from the scratch. So web developing is something that like we are creating websites, web pages that is established over the internet. So on from the scratch, we are developing it and publishing it to the internet. So what is the web development is actually means that you are creating or building something, the building the websites and maintaining websites and publishing to the internet by the programming, by the database management. So the thing it happens in the web, what are the things that happens to the website by developing from the scratch, we can call it as a web development. So in the creation of application, we can say that in websites, in over the internet, we can access the sites or web applications. So you want to know the basic difference about the websites and web applications. So websites is a one-side interaction, which will only act as a one-side. Only one side you can send the data from here to the server. But if the web applications are different from the website, because it can send both data and receive data to the server. So websites and web applications are two major different topics. So let's get deeper into it. Before get deeper into it, wait something. We want to know how the browser is working. So it is a thing that we want to know how browser works for the web development. Yeah, sure. Because without knowing the important concept and diving into the lesson, it will like look like learning lessons without the basic concepts. So we want to know how the browser works, and we can get into a web development. So how the browser works. So we all know uh, yeah, basic thought, like we are giving something like domain names like youtube.com or google.com. We are thinking that it will deriving from something like something from the database, and it show it to the like, but it not actually works like it work like in a very detailed manner. If it explains to the detailed manner, then it will not end up in this day. So I learned that how the browser works, and I will going to explain it in a very simple way. So um, when the so we can see it over the first of all, a browser that only can understand HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So whatever the languages that browser can understand only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So whatever the programming language you write, and like Flutter or any Ruby or any PHP, any language you are written, whatever the language you are written websites, doesn't matter. It will convert it into the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because the browser engine only understand the language like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So how it does. So let's see into the using by flowchart. So when a user or an actor, when it requesting like something youtube.com or a google.com, first it requesting through the web browser. So web browser is what actually do is it will get IP from the DNS server. Why we want to get IP? Why it cannot get a direct request at google.com from the server? Because the server or the computers, what are all the computers over the internet only access through the IP. So the server doesn't have name like google.com or youtube.com. So it have a IP address like 192 or one something dot 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 something it will be up, yes. So all it only accessed from the IP addresses. So the server doesn't have name like google.com or youtube.com. So first what web browser do means it will collect those IP address from the DNS server from which what are the web domains we are gave. So it will transfer to the local ISP, and it local ISP means we can say that's mobile towers or local towers or local internet service providers. Then it will go to the ISP, which means the internet service provider. So it will request the and it will search the server for the particular IP, and it will do the handshake with the server and get all data like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which are already stored in the server, and it returns to the ISP, and it will returns to the local ISP. Before getting into the browser engine, it should first go into the rendering engine. So in rendering engine, what it happens? So in rendering engine, it will get all those HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and do parsing. Parsing means it is which all ordering it like something big. Imagine you are getting files like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which have thousands and thousands lines of code. So what it'll do is it will do parsing. So it will arrange in order. Like a HTML file, these are all want to execute first, these are all want to first execute second. Like that, it will pass the HTML and CSS files. Then it will make a tree like a hierarchy. We can say it a hierarchy. What all want to execute first, what all want to execute second, what all want to execute third, for and all have tree rendering. After the tree rendering, it will do painting. The paint happened by the GPU of your computer, which means graphical processing unit. So after rendering a tree, it will start painting those components, and what are all the intake form, it will transfer into the UI. So on getting those elements, the rendering engine will return it to the web browser. Then what we actually see a YouTube page after it loaded, it actually get it from the rendering engine. So this is what's the actual process that going behind the browsers. So this is very basic. Actually, there is a tons and tons and tons of concepts inside that. But if I am explaining the day gets over. So these are the basic concepts that you want to know that how the browser works. Um, so guys, so we want to go deep dive into web development. I'm just kidding. It is not like tough as you think. It is very easy to learn, and it is very easy to understand to what is the web development and how we are going through it. So you guys may think web development is tough, or web development is not easy to understand, but it is not like that. It is very easy topic, and if you're learning it from the basics, so it will very easy, and you can learn as much as faster you can. So this is a very easy this is a very easy topic. So let's get into it. So web development. So web development is actually divided into two. That is front and back end. So we all know, we are all familiar with this topics, but really a part of website that user interacts. So what are all the users see? Suppose we are giving a youtube.com, the page renders before you is called a front end, and it is called and what we are seeing is we can say it as a client side. So the part of website which actually renders on the U is called as a client. So client side interactions. So but the data generated by the back end is given to the front end to render side. So I think we are all the familiar with this photo here. What actually happens is the front end doesn't know what to generate in the client side. So it will ask the data from the back to please give me the some data to the back end. So back end the data and give it to the front end. So it is what actually happens in the front end. So when the back end gives the data, and it will give generated in the front end. So it is what actually process. So backend is the logics and the connection between the website and the server all happening in the backend that the user cannot see, and cannot interact with that. So it is called as a backend. So what is actually seeing in this image, the user backend, the user can't see the back. So what are all the backend giving the data that will be generated in the front end? So in this is what actually front end and back end. Let's get deep into a front end development. So in front end development, we can create a front end by using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and also a front end frameworks. Front end frameworks. HTML. HTML is a hypertext markup language, which is we can say it as a skeleton, which can we can say it as a skeleton to the what we are creating a website or a web page. It will act as a skeleton to the uh, particular website. But CSS is like giving styles to those HTML tags and HTML tags, and it will make the HTML to look it very better. So CSS, which means cascading style sheets. In the name itself, we can understand the CSS will style the tag or all the uh, tags in HTML by the referring it by tags or by class or by IDs. We can use that class IDs and tags in the CSS, and we can style it, and we can render it in the web browser engine. So with those HTML and CSS itself, we can create a website, but it will not look like a uh, it will not look like a very dynamic content. So it will be look like only static, but it is only static. When the website is created using only HTML and CSS, it will only allow the static content to show, and it does not be very reliable, or does not it will not, and it does not have any performance increasement. So on using the JavaScript is the only thing we can increase the performance of the website and also increase the reliability of the website. So what is the JavaScript? JavaScript is the scripting language which provide a dynamic behavior to our website. So on using the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript integrated, we can create a dynamic website, and it to performance very perfectly and also be reliable. So we can create front like using front-end frameworks also, like Vue.js, AngularJS, and also libraries like React.js. Inside of the Vue.js also, you are going to create only using a HTML and CSS. Uh, in React.js, AngularJS also, you are going to create only by using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But these are the framework that running through the JavaScript. So in front end, it is very much important to learn about the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So without HTML and CSS and Java, you cannot survive through the web development. So these are the very basic things we want to learn in the web development. So when we then we see about the very detailed development. So in backend development, we have the languages like many languages and also frameworks like Node.js. So Node.js is that also a JavaScript which providing a to execute the JavaScript code that will run outside the browser. So Node.js is also open source, and it will also used in the backend development. So, and we can say PHP. This is also a server-side scripting language that is specifically created for the web development. And also we can use backend for Java, and also we can use backend as a Java and also Python. On using a Java, it was old and widely and also used, and also it is highly scalable. And Python, it is very easy to use, and it will be more efficient. So there are the backend frameworks like Express, Django, Rails, and Alver and Spring. Then this is the full stack development. What is a full stack development? When the website has front end and database, and it is connected to the front end, when the back end is connected to the both front end and the database, we can say that website has a full stack website. So we want to know what is the full stack. So full stack is nothing but when the front end and back end is combined, we can say it is a full stack development. So in the back end, we can keep in data to the database by using the backend frameworks or the commands we give in the backend. So these are all the basic concepts of full stack development. So this is the favorite meme that shows in the what we actually see in the front end, but in back end we doesn't know what actually going to happen. But this is nothing like that what you actually seen in the image. But disclaimer guys, no animals are harmed during this meme. just a man disguising like lion. So I'm only put this meme for your understanding. So in front actually it's like look like this, but in back end what actually happens we doesn't know. So I think you guys will feel sleepy because a lot of explanations and theories are going on. Now we are straightly jump into HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and we can go it we can do it in the VS Code with the live example. So what is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? How it's going to be play a role in development? So let's say we are creating a website. So what it happens? What are the things we want to know? First of all, we were creating a website using a HTML. It going like a skeleton and give it structure and layout to the particular website. So HTML is the markup language. On adding CSS to it, it will give the shape and what are all the things that website want to run properly. Without CSS, it will look like only skeleton. With the CSS, you can make him to look like a man. On this picture, we visualizes that only HTML it will look like a skeleton. By adding CSS, it will look like a man. But we can create a website using HTML and CSS, but it will not be very effective on giving the JavaScript, which is like a nervous system, which give functionality to the website. So uh, JavaScript is the what we can use JavaScript for the logics and what are all the dynamic things we want to give it to the website. We can all do it that in the JavaScript. So by integrating the JavaScript with the HTML and CSS, we can develop a website with a very increased performance manner, and also we can create a website with that is very reliable. So HTML, as I said before, HTML is a hypertext markup language that we can know. Then we'll see through the VS Code what it actually looks like. So this is what actually VS Code. This is IDE that we used for a development for a website. So what are all the IDE you can use? You can use Android Studio or any IDE you can use for the web development. And here I'm using Visual Studio Code for the website development. So I'm here introducing a basic HTML structure. So this is the doc type HTML. So this is what a declaration. So we are declaring a HTML as a document type. So this is what first in the HTML. So we are first declaring HTML. This and we are going to say this HTML is a document type. So this is what declaration happened here. So next we are going to insert a HTML element where all our CSS and HTML are going to render inside this. Then HTML is going to be like in HTML inside it's going to be like head and body. So in head we are all going to giving a link and what are all the links that it want to run the website. Example, if we say we want to do a CDN, what are all the CDN links? That means compact delivery network, which website wants. We will get it from the outside and link it to the head tag. If you suppose if we are doing a external JavaScript file, that also wanted to link in a head tag. This is the body where all our HTML codes are here and also executed. So this is what actually looks like a HTML structure. So it's like a HTML basic structure of the HTML. As I said before, we can doc type declaration and the HTML and the head and the title and also a body element. So this is all the structure of the HTML. So in the doc type tells the version of the HTML. This is the document type, and we tell this is a which type of HTML document type it tells to the website. And this is the HTML root element where all HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is going to be executed. Head is used to contain what are all the metadata that I told before, what are all the compact delivery networks or what are all the links that are linked to the websites that will all command put together in the head tags and it will be executed. So in body tags, it will hold the content of the HTML page. So what are all contents? Example, we want to generate an image in the website, a paragraph or a heading, going to be executed in the body of the HTML tag. So this was actually HTML page structures look like. So we are next we are going to see about the CSS. So what is CSS? A CSS is actually a cascading style sheet which will going to style the HTML by using by referring it by class name or by ID or by the tags. So by mentioning those tags and classes and IDs in the HTML, we can style the HTML page using CSS. So without CSS, the page doesn't look like a very good manner. So in CSS, we have three types: inline, internal, and external. So we can give the CSS by inline or internal or embedded or external. So let's see it with the example. So I'm here going to create a div, which is a div. We can say div is a division. So it will create a particular HTML page and it will going to show it as a separate division. So I'm creating here as a separate division. So I'm going to say hi, and I'm going to give a inline CSS. So inline CSS can be given by using a style. First, I am going to mention the width. Width it can be, let's say, 300 pixels. Also by mentioning it by height. So I'm giving as a height 200 pixels, and also mentioning the background color. Let's say brown, and let's run it live server and see what happens. So here it was. So whatever the languages, it going to be showing. So no, actually I'm doing it with HTML, but you are doing in Flutter, but it's going to generate only by using a HTML, and you can see whether I'm clicking this, we can see the styles which I given in the inline style, HTML CSS. If I given the JavaScript, it also run by a JavaScript file also. So what browser it actually, browser only knows the language of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Doesn't know any other languages. So I have created a division and I given width, um, which is basically a 300, basically 300 pixels, and also a height by 200 pixels. So I am here. I mentioned a high. So let it align the center. So doing this is by center by giving it. Let's keep this message high. So what I actually do is this is actually done in the inline. So we can give it this is called as a inline styling. We can give in this a internal means we can give it in the head tag. So we are creating the style in the head tag. So we can give the width, say we can say what are the width. So first, before going to, we want to internal, we want to introduce a class so the CSS can access this division, or you can use the div tag itself. But on when you are using the now I'm using only one div tag, but on when you creating the website, you will create more and more div tags. So I'm introducing a class called box, with box. So I'm but when you are going to call it on the style, you should call it by dot property, because we will call this as a selector. It will going to select a class from a body tag. So by accessing that, we will give the class name. So it will access the particular class in the body tag. So we can access the particular division by the class name using the dot property. So we give the styles in the internal by using the style tag. we can modify the website. So let's start. Let's giving it by with we can give it by. So for the change, I am giving this 500 pixels. So we will see the change, and giving height as a 100 pixel, and also giving mm, background color as green. Mm. So let's see what happens. So doesn't executing. So first we will so why it not executing? Because there is a one thing, because whatever we are giving in a inline, it will be the more priority than the internal and the external. The priority is like first it will execute the first it will give the priority to the only internal. So if you are giving an internal styling, then it will not accept the internal and external styling. So first we want to remove this internal styling, and we'll see what happens. So you can see the size, width, and the height of the box, and also the color changes. So we are doing done an internal style using a property, and by calling it by the class name, we are changed the height and width, and also a background property. So this is what actually HTML basic HTML and CSS. So we can also give the CSS as external file by file like uh, index.css. So we'll paste those, Control C, and Control V. So we can remove this because we are giving it external. So we have created the external file, but doesn't but the index.html doesn't know where the external CSS was. So we will link it by the link tag, by the link CSS. So we are saying that you take the CSS from the index.css and execute in the body tag. So we are saying that take into index.css, and we can change the background color for the difference. So we'll make it to the yellow, or yellow something like yellow shadings. So is actually, so we are seeing the background is changed. So this is what three types of first we have seen the inline, then internal, then external. So this is the what actually uh, looks like for a single division. If you are using creating a website, you will doing a lots of division stats, and also you are creating lots and lots of CSS. So this is what what the basics HTML and CSS looks like. So let's know deep into it. Then we are going to this is the meme that I seen, because without HTML it will look like what actually is seen in the image. But after putting it with CSS, we can do all the makeups and all the things that want by the HTML. So that is what actually we have done. So without without CSS, the HTML not be look good. So we can do the another party also by doing it by we can do the border radius, which will give the wait we can border radius em, and we can say it as em is what actually it will multiplies like pixels, more pixel. First pixel is very small, then em is a great, then great measurement, that like. So em is also a measurement which we will do it in the website development. And also next we are going to give the uh, box shadow, which we can give in x-axis 1px and y-axis in 1px. Blurred radius will be 10px, and also we will be giving 10px. And color we can give it like let's say we give it the these shades itself. So let's copy this code and also paste it here. So what is going to be actually look like, you can see that how it actually look like. So let's give the margin to it, so it will arrange it in the center, margin auto. So it actually let's give the margin for the top. Let's say 40 px to arrange it in the center. Okay, now the you can see I arranged the div using the margin. So what it actually how it happens. So let's see. This is called actually a box model. So in the box model, we if we saying the box, so the box contain, but these are called the inner elements. The 500 into 300 watt is going to have a content. Um, so in the between the content on the border, we have a padding. So say padding is about I'm giving a padding. mm, as 30x. So you can see that high will move into the inside. So we are given a padding inside the border. So it will create a particular space for the content on the border with for the display in it. And also this is the border which actually go in, and it gives the margin 40 for the top and bottom, and it will actually takes to align center. It will automatically take the right and left margins by giving it by auto. So it is a 471 pixel margin, and top I give it as a 40 pixel, and padding given it as 30 pixel, and also height and width of the box. So this is what actually uh, box model which will be useful for in the throughout the website development. So this is what actually look like without the, let's see what happens if I comment out the uh, CSS. So how it going to be actually look like? So this is what a simple hi message. Doesn't have any background color. Doesn't have any height and width, and doesn't have any border radius. Doesn't have any box shadow. So it does not look like what then simply looking it high. So only using CSS we can design those websites. But only with the HTML and CSS we cannot say that create the website, but we also want to do the JavaScript also for the logics and also for the dynamic functions. So let's see what is JavaScript and get deeper dive into it. So JavaScript is a scripting language which is very lightweight, and also it can be also a programming language because it also contains the functions and the objects. It is also a simple object-oriented programming language which is runs on the web development. Because it is very light, we can learn the JavaScript language as very much easier than the other language. So it is very much useful in the both client side and also in the server side also. So JavaScript, we can use JavaScript as an internal JS file and also as an external JS file. Internal JS is given into within the body itself, and external JS file will be created as what we created in CSS. We have created a separate CSS file and put it the link to the head tag, and like that we are going to create a separate JS file, and we also link into the head tag or through the body tag, wherever we can use we can insert it. So let me create a simple example by using this. So let me creating that by the external CSS. So here I give it by the ID. So yes, so we can access it through by a ID, uh, by ID by in CSS we can ask the ID by hashtag. So if we are entering as a class, we want to access it by dot. If you are entering as a ID, we should use it by using a hashtag. So let's start to a little JavaScript. So you know what is the logic behind this. So we can create JavaScript by inside the HTML tag itself. Let introduce because I want to uh, change it by the let's say I want to change the background color of the body for every second. Um, So let create a variable which I'm assigning when I want to change the body color. So I'm giving the body as a variable, and going to say document dot get towards the element by a ID. So get the element by ID. What ID we have given is full. Um, or something like any ID you can create. It's not like you want to create only full. So let give a function. Let me write a function to giving different background colors. So I'm what actually going to do is I'm going to um, do a function which actually calls a hexadecimal number. I'm going to open with the hashtag, so it will create a color. So we will also know we can use the color by using it with the hex code. So I'm going to create a function that will going to get a random hexadecimal number, and using that hexadecimal number, I'm going to generate a various colors or various background colors. So let's write function uh, get random color. So get uh, random. So see or so the function, we are going to say what the function is going to do. Let me introduce a variable called letters. So here we are going to give a uh, set of strings that contains 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and also here A B. So it's a hexadecimal combination. So it will say it will get doing it with the for loop. We will get some hexadecimal number. So you can append it with the hashtag. So for appending it with the hashtag, so I want 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and also AB. So I want to give a var. So color COLO or color. It will going to append it with the say the simple hashtag. So I'm going to create on a loop for loop for executing these conditions. So I'm saying where I'm going to say where I equals to 0. This is the basic condition we will create in a for loop. Then I less than 0, you will study these loop basic conditions in the no. So you want to create a here a hexadecimal number. So we want to execute we want a 6-digit number which was a hexadecimal, which were based on the letter combination. um, so then we want to do increment after getting a string up to 6 up to getting X letters. It will run into a for loop and get those 6 letters for the hexadecimal and append it with color, and it will give a specific color for that. So um, I okay, then we are going to do say what the for loop going to do. So COLO color equals to color plus COLO also. Uh, so we can read this. We can write this like plus equal to uh, L plus. So letters that what letter that actually we have done a hexadecimal combination. So what it will do is it will do the let's use the inbuilt function math dot flo or math dot floor. So we are going to get a math dot random function. Math, we are going to call a math dot random function. So by using this, we can create a hexadecimal by multiplying with 6. So what it will do is it will get a random number and it converted into the hexadecimal number by getting inputs from the letter. So let's return a color to the function. So return color to the function. So let's return the color. So we want to change the color now. So we going to create another function like changing color function. C change color. So function change color. Um, so on changing color, so what we're going to do is, so we are going to change the color of the body. So we are going to change the color. So what we want to do is body dot style. So we are going to style the background color. So background color equals to we are going to the get the decimal number from the get random color function. So we are going to get random color function. By wait. So we are going to set a interval at what it be going to execute. So we are going to set a interval. So set interval function. So set interval function will going to call the change color function and running it by 1000 milliseconds. So 1000 milliseconds, which will actually call as a 1 second. So let me check and what actually done. Was created a ID and getting ID by div dot get random color and setting the interval. So what we done a mistake. We are getting the ID by ID full. So let's take this. So let's say so actually before doing the CSS we want to give the what are the body because it will execute some basic codes that is already running. So let me give margin 0 and also padding 0. Also we give that function call that is overflow hidden. So whatever the going outside the body we want to give the overflow hidden. Then we can take this box model because we deleted it and calling it a CSS function by the we are saying that position we want to say position is absolute and also saying it's width because without mentioning the width and height we can't do the background color. So on mentioning it the height by the percentage div id where get let's change it to the div happens. So what we all set okay. So we are creating an ID full and we are doing it math.out by a random by hexadecimal. Then we are appending it, then draining it by color. So do it from the scratch. So let me create first HTML doc type HTML file and give the body div, let's start it with div tag and we'll give and giving that id that is equal to uh, full uh, then we are doing it by style by if you want to mention the body, let's say overflow hidden, and then margin 0 and adding 0. Then we will create by we'll call that id by using hashtag by full that position is absolute, so that position will be absolute there, and making it fit by 100 percentage, and also as 100 percentage. So it's all done. That will run a JavaScript file. So we will create a script file that will run a JavaScript. So here I am going to a var that will going to create a variable div equals to get element by the id, get element by the id. So get element document. So we want to access by document. So doc document dot get element by id. That is what actually full. We are going to we are going to create a function. Get random random color, creating a random color function, and we are going to create a variable that is equal to we can create a random letters by 0 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and a b c d e f, which was a hexadecimal combination, and we are going to create a color. Per color is equal to let's say hashtag then we are going to create a for loop. For what we are actually doing is we are going to posit a variable that is I that is equal to 0. We are assigning, then we are doing with I equal to 0. We want a 6 digit number. We are going executing up it. We get 0 1 2 3 4 indexes, so it will act like, so it will go 6 numbers. So 6, then we are going to increase that. Then we are opening the function, so color, so plus um, plus by calling the function fetch. So we are done m dot fl by calling it by math dot random input function dot random by inbuilt to convert into hexadecimal. So let's say let's create a for loop, and we want to to it, and let's create a change function. So function function color. So let's say div dot style dot background color equal to that you get it by the uh, uh, random color. So we are to to similar function by getting by not mention those milliseconds here. So here this mistake function dot change then style dot background color then color is color equal to letters dot math dot then math dot random that is multiplied by for x we are getting it okay we are getting it by id. So let's we see what happened. So we are seeing that the color is changed by time second. So this is what actually happens. So what we actually given here is we have created a function. So by using these logics, I just shown only an example logic. By using this, we can create lots of logic using a JavaScript file. So you can give whatever the ID name is. It's not you want to only give the full. So you can give any. So let's say BC. So BC and anything. So it will be the output. It will be generated like same the thing. So wait 1 second. So getting ID from the B. So we want to do it also in the CSS also. So let's change it to the BC. So let me reload. So due to what are all the ID you giving, it doesn't matter. So you can do whatever the ID you are using. So we are doing it with ID by VZ. So the live server, but executing doesn't. So it doesn't matter what are the you give, but it is it executed. So for all the things you are giving, it will be executed. No, not like you want only give full, but here what happens, I don't know, that we explore. Change it to the full. So we can change actually what are the ID if you want to, if you are changing that, you also want the particular also. So this is what actually look like. So you can use the JavaScript for the any function, and this is what actually look like. So this is what actually look like, guys. So next section we are going to go to website. Uh, JavaScript. So it will be hope you will learn. So thank you. So you can you can so attending my session. Hope you guys learn some important things in the web development. So see you in the next session. Thank you.